our entrepreneur, Ryan. Check.
Hello.
Hello for everyone.
All right. It depends on the way that you look at it. I mean, I have an official title, and the official title is Entrepreneur in Residence, and that means that my full-time position is I work for a corporation on the innovation team. And what I do is I start companies for the innovation team. I'm normally allocated a budget amount, and I go out and I prove concepts, I prove ideas, and then we justify whether or not to invest in and start a company. And I'm one of 5 people that do that, and the team was recently formed 8 months ago. The way that we got involved in that is through myself being entrepreneurial. So before I did that, I started 2 companies on my own. One while I was at University of Wisconsin here, and I did that through, I used to just simply build websites for people, and I saw, the reason I liked that was I was able to work at home, and I didn't want to work your regular 9 to 5, and I still wanted to be able to make money. And then I did these monthly marketing packages that I sold anywhere between $1,000 to $3,000 a month. And it's very easy stuff for us because our age, being very young, we were very good at understanding what social media was back in the day. And I would sell those packages. And that first company that I started in college blossomed to be a $2 million revenue company a year. It's now in Kansas City, and it's running and it's doing well. After that, I did another company. It's called Tapper, which was one of my first attempts at a nationwide startup. And we made an application that allowed you to order drinks on your phone while you're at the bar, so you didn't have to wait in line. Long and short, it failed because we weren't solving a problem for the bartenders. We were solving a problem for consumers, but not the bartenders. Then I got into the innovation team at Assurance, and I start companies for them, and I now personally invest in other startup companies. So that's my very long description of a title. There's 2 perspectives to look at when you're thinking about franchises. So the first perspective is, are you thinking about creating a business to franchise out to other people? And the other question is, are you looking at investing in the franchise for yourself to make money for yourself? Honestly, like professionally, I can give you my experience on franchises, very minimal. I researched them for about 6 months because not only do I start companies, but I look at everything in my life as an investment. Everything I put $1 into, I expect money back. That's just the way that I am. And I remember looking into franchises, and I told myself after researching them, normally it takes a good amount of capital. And capital is normally, what you need in order to get some traction. So, McDonald's, for example, I remember doing research, you need X amount of capital, and then it took you 5 or 6 years in order to get your return on investment, and then you needed to manage that franchise, and eventually that franchise becomes your life. As soon as you get to about 4 to 5 that you own, you can get to the point where you don't need to be at that franchise managing all of them anymore, was the number that I came up with. And, those only come after long periods of time, after your first one does well and you can prove out your investment, and then your second one comes well, and then your third one and fourth one. So if you're thinking about investing in a franchise such as Jimmy John's, my personal recommendation is don't do it unless that's your passion and that's what you want to do. The quickest startup is a website that you can build in a night or 2 with an idea and seeing if you can get people to buy it after you get traffic to it. And you could do that for $50. Manufacturing is a great market. It's especially in the Milwaukee area, we have a very rich heritage when it comes to manufacturing, especially because we have the water source right here. When you look at the history of Milwaukee, a lot of the companies, and the reason that Milwaukee is big these days is because of the fresh water supply that we have. For example, the tanneries use a good amount of water to cool down the leather. We had not ore refineries, but steel manufacturers that would use the water to cool down the steel until there's an innovation that didn't need the water anymore. Manufacturing, it could be an awesome thing and it could be a not awesome thing. It can be awesome because if you find a product that solves a problem for someone, you can create that widget that you found and sell it at a certain price and have your margin in it, and it's very easy to maintain and manage from there on if you can get sales on a consistent basis. But the management, once you do find that product market fit for your problem solution for your customer, it's going to be a lot easier for you to scale that up and go. That's an advantage. Disadvantage would be in manufacturing, many times your margins are very slim because it's very easy to be competitive in it, and therefore, like when you look at the car manufacturing industry industry for manufacturing, your margins are at 2, 3, 4, 5%. A company that I met with the CEO with last year called Stratec. It's a runoff of Briggs & Stratton, run by the Stratton family still. They operate on 2 to 3% margins, which means that they're making off of $1, 2 to 3 cents in profit. Which, why do that if you can find something with 50 or 60% margin? All the businesses that I invest in scalable startups or scalable companies that can go nationwide. So a startup by definition is a company that you build with the intention of making it go nationwide. So those are the types of companies that I invest in and that I start for the corporation. Anything that I find that I think could have a good return on investment is what I'll do. I mean, we work on a lot of different projects for the innovation team as far as specific companies go. I'm running one of those companies under the innovation team. We have 3 other companies that we're working on. There's 2 perspectives. So when I make personal investments, this is not on behalf of the corporation. When I make personal investments, my equity take that I ask for is normally 3 to 7% of equity, which for this area is extremely low. Because normally what happens is investment firms, if you guys are ever thinking about starting your own company, investment firms will want a good amount of your equity. For example, 40 to 50% for only $200,000 to $300,000. And you need to be able to, that's later when you have your own company and you have revenue, product, you have a plan to go nationwide or a plan to go within the Midwest. There's a lot of firms in this area that will ask for too much equity, in my opinion, and that prevents you from further growth. Because if you look at a timeline of investment, I could draw it out real quick. Normally, this is where your angel investors are. I'm considered an angel investor. And here's your IPO, your initial public offering. So Groupon, they IPO'd. There's angel investors over there, and they go through what's called, after an angel investment, a seed investment, a Series A, B, C, D, E, F, and then IPO. And what you want to do is be able to get to IPO if you're a super angel. If you're an angel, to get the biggest return on your dollar. So I don't take a large amount because I think in this area, too many firms take too much equity. And it prohibits growth for certain companies because you don't allow for a Series B, C, D, and an IPO. That's just my personal take. There are investment firms or companies if you're an entrepreneur and you go to an investment firm and you say, or let's just say you go to a company and you say, I've got this plan for my business, I can take it nationwide, and if you give me $1 million in investment, I'll turn it into $3 million of revenue and therefore $1 million of profit. They're probably going to want more than 50% because in case you fail, or not even in case you fail, once they invest in it, they can write it off on their books. So in that way, they can write it off on their taxes. And then you could do what's called a clawback agreement, where you can get back certain percentages of your equity over time. Buy back your equity if you hit certain goals. Only if you hit those goals, you get your equity back. For the clawback or the buyback agreement, it's normally there's a few stages of let's pretend that you're an entrepreneur and I'm an investor, and let's pretend that I want 51% of your company so I could write it off on my books. I'm going to give you an extremely easy goal to hit, which both of us will agree upon, and if you hit this goal, I'm going to be happy and you're going to be happy because your company has revenue and we're on a good path to success. And then if you do maybe one more tier up, that's over exceeding expectations, so you get more equity back. And if you do one more tier, you just knocked it out of the park. You're hitting a home run, and all of us are going to be happy no matter what. So that's normally the way that you can structure a buyback if you're an entrepreneur, if someone ever suggests owning more than 50% of your company. This conversation, to answer this question, it probably always changes because every day is different when you guys try to start your own company, if you ever go on that endeavor someday. I was talking to Jalem Guest, who's the guy who started BuySeasons.com, and and it's one of the biggest e-commerce websites that have ever been a part of the Wisconsin state history. I believe he had 500 employees, and he sold his stock a few years ago. And one of the only success stories when it comes to having an online store out of Wisconsin. And at the end of the day, no matter what, an entrepreneur, you have a long list of stuff to do, and it's about this long. And these are all things that you want to do every day, but you only get this much done. And you probably only get 3 to 4 things done a day, and it's understanding that you need to prioritize the most important things in order to make your company successful. And the way that I prioritize them and other entrepreneurs do is you focus that all on growth of your company, increasing sales, increasing likelihood of scalability, stuff like that. The hardest part is your list will never stop to grow ever. And you have to figure out what you're going to spend your time on. Advice for entrepreneurs, failure is definitely okay and it should be celebrated. My advice, if I were to go to myself when I was a few years younger, when I was 18, I would say 93% of companies that are started with an initial idea end up changing their idea to something else. Because if I'm sitting in my room and I have an idea all of a sudden and I think it could sell, the only way I'm going to figure out if that's a good idea or not is by going to talking to a customer, see if someone's going to give me money for my idea, right, to pay me for the product that I have. And if they end up not paying for it, then I have to change my idea. So be accepting of change, because your idea is probably not that great until you go talk to a customer and you figure out that it is something people are willing to pay for.
Great. Thank you very much. Thank you for your time. Ryan.